The Book of the Damned, by Charles Hoyfort, Chapter 14f. The date, March 22nd, 1877. The scientific world was up on its hind legs nosing the sky. The thing had been done so authoritatively. Never a pope had said a thing with more of the seeming of finality. If 6 observations correlated, what more could be asked? The editor of Nature, a week before the predicted event, though cautious, said that it is difficult to explain how 6 observers, unknown to one another, could have data that could be formulated if they were not related phenomena. In a way, at this point occurs the crisis of our whole book. Formulas are against us. But can astronomic formulas, backed up by observations in agreement, taken many years apart, calculated by Leverrier, be as meaningless, in a positive sense, as all other quasi-things that we have encountered so far? The preparations they made, before March 22nd, 1877. In England, the Astronomer Royal made it the expectation of his life. Notified observers at Madras, Melbourne, Sydney, and New Zealand, and arranged with observers in Chile and the United States. Monsieur Struve had prepared for observations in Siberia and Japan. March 22nd, 1877. Not absolutely, hypocritically, I think it's pathetic, myself. If anyone should doubt the sincerity of Leverrier in this matter, we note, whether it has meaning or not, that a few months later he died. I think we'll take up Monstrator, though there's so much to this subject that we'll have to come back. According to the Annual Register, Volume 9, page 120, upon the 9th of August, 1762, Monsieur de Rostan, of Basel, France, was taking altitudes of the sun, at Lausanne. He saw a vast, spindle-shaped body, about 3 of the sun's digits in breadth and 9 in length, advancing slowly across the disk of the sun, or with no more than half the velocity with which ordinary solar spots move. It did not disappear until the 7th of September, when it reached the sun's limb. Because of the spindle-like form, I incline to think of a super zeppelin, but another observation, which seems to indicate that it was a world, is that, though it was opaque, and eclipsed the sun, it had around it a kind of nebulosity, or atmosphere. A penumbra would ordinarily be a datum of a sunspot, but there are observations that indicate that this object was at a considerable distance from the sun. It is recorded that another observer, at Paris, watching the sun, at this time, had not seen this object, but that Monsieur crossed, at Seoul, about 45 German leagues northward of Lausanne, had seen it, describing the same spindle form, but disagreeing a little as to breadth. Then comes the important point, that he and Monsieur de Rostan did not see it upon the same part of the sun. This, then, is parallax, and compounded with invisibility at Paris, is great parallax, or that, in the course of a month, in the summer of 1762, a large, opaque, spindle-shaped body traversed the disk of the sun, but at a great distance from the sun. The writer in the register says, in a word, we know of nothing to have recourse to in the heavens, by which to explain this phenomenon. I suppose he was not a hopeless addict to explaining. Extraordinary, we fear he must have been a man of loose habits in some other respects. As to us, Monstrator, in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, February, 1877, Leverrier, who never lost faith up to the last day, gives the 6 observations upon an unknown body of planetary size that he had formulated.